Hi, my name is Cyril Ryan from Audiotronics here in Galway. Today I will be looking at a 1964 VOX AC30 which is in pretty bad condition. The owner has asked that it's restored to decent condition. Part 1 of this video is evaluating to see what work needs to be done. Okay, from initial inspection, doesn't look too bad. Our first problem is that we have a blown GZ34 rectifier. I can tell that by the white on the top, and that will have to be replaced initially. Our power output tubes, EL84s. Generally speaking, these last about a year in early VOX AC30s. They run them quite hard. Original Muller DL84, which would be fantastic if they were still any good. A second Muller DL84, an unknown one, but it may be a Mullard, and the last one is unknown also. So unfortunately we don't have a match set. The other preamp valves, yes, Muller DCC83, original Muller DCC83, another Mullard, another Mullard. These are the yellow printed ones, all extremely valuable. Tongs Ram ECC83, another very good valve, and a Brymark ECC83. Hopefully we'll be able to recover some of these and we'll put them in the most important positions for tone. You might note that there's a hole in the chassis here. That used to be a chassis mounted capacitor, which I have in stock. The valve bases are all pretty good condition. Of course the chassis is in terrible condition, but we can fix that. The most important thing with a VOX AC30 from 1964 is that the transformers are the originals, and these are the originals. Of course we don't know if they work yet, so the first thing we need to do before going any further is to evaluate the transformers to see if they work. Okay, my method for checking the mains transformer is I have a bulb series limiter which will protect the transformer in case there's a short further on in the circuit, and it also prevents me from blowing fuses if there is indeed a problem with the transformer. Don't do this at home. You need to be really careful. We're working with mains voltages, and we're working with voltages in excess of 300 volts when the circuit is powered up. So initially I'm going to power this up without any valves connected, just to make sure that the transformer is okay. So I have this switched off. The amplifier is on because there's no main switch, and I connect it through the thing, and away we go. Okay. If this had lit up, I would be concerned about the transformer, but I see that we have the low voltage light is lighting, and our next step now is to check the voltages on the filaments of the valve. We should be getting something like 6.3 volts. AC. The next step is to reinstall the rectifier. It's a GZ34. I'm not too worried about the capacitors at this stage because they're all going to be changed anyway. I mean, they're 50 years old, so they do really need to be changed at this stage. Install the rectifier. Again, we'll switch on our current limited output. Now it's going to take a couple of seconds for this to warm up, probably about 15 or 20 seconds. That's why there's no standby switch on the VOX AC30. Yes, and you see it glow, and we'll be able to measure the HT voltages underneath here. It's a DC voltage, so let's see what we've got. Okay, with 350 volts, which is very good. Now we've no valves in yet, so that will drop down a bit. I'm reading the correct voltages on all of the capacitors, which is great news. So we may be able to get an output of this thing shortly. Good. I've reinstalled all the preamp tubes, and I'm going to connect the mains directly to the socket. At this stage we were fairly sure that it's okay. And connect the power up, and here we go. Now while the valves are warming up, I've already connected a test load of 8 ohms to the output. You should never plug in a valve amplifier without an output connected to it. I also have here 100 millivolt signal, which simulates the output from a fairly low output guitar. And on the scope and on the meter, we're monitoring the output of the amplifier. So I can hear it here as well. Sounds pretty noisy, but I would have expected that. Now, I've noticed earlier that none of these pots actually turn, except for the Brilliant volume control. So we'll use the Brilliant input as our tester. And not a smidgen out of it, which is what I would have expected anyway. An amplifier this old. Okay, a bit of investigation to be done there. So I've been chasing down the fault on this for the last half an hour or so, trying to get any sort of a signal out of it. On the scope, we can see a clean signal here, which is fine, but at the output transformer, we're getting a distorted signal, which is evidenced by the spike on top of that. Our next step is to try and test the output transformer. The easiest way to do that is to actually swap it out temporarily for one that I have in stock here. So I have substituted this transformer, which is the same impedance as the VOX AC30 one, in the hope of establishing whether it's a transformer or not. So let's apply signal, and we'll turn up the volume. Yeah, this looks a lot better. We now have about 14 volts before the onset of distortion, which is about 25 or 26 watts, which is good. So unfortunately we have to replace the output transformer, but at least we can get the thing up and running again. So that's as far as we need to go on the electronic evaluation at the moment, because we can't do anything further until I get a replacement transformer. So I think the next thing we'll do is have a look at the cabinet.